Okay, so this is my review of the Google Home Wi-Fi. And what I would like to do, just go through this quick slide and show you the problem that I'm having. And this may be similar to some, maybe not most, only because I think some of my scenarios are pretty extreme. But we definitely need consistent and reliable Wi-Fi within our home. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So we have a seven-member family, a really cast of characters, plus one. We actually have a resident staying with us for the summer. And within our cast of characters, I mean, they age ranging from 4, 6, 8, 10. Those are the Smurfs. And then my wife and I, we have then our teen, who just a recent grad from high school. And then actually we have a resident who is 17 as well. So we got teenagers, we got little ones, toddlers, and a very wide array. And we have vloggers. So I do a lot of things on YouTube. So most of you guys probably have seen my videos on YouTube. My son is a gamer. That's him right there in the red shirt in the back, who's not cracking a smile with his gamer pose, doing what gamers do. We have binge watchers. Whenever my time, definitely, our seven-member family keeps my wife extremely busy. But when she gets downtime, she likes to catch up on all of her seasons and episodes and all this other good stuff. So there's a lot of binge watching. My teen and the resident, they're social butterflies, always on Snapchat and video chat and chatty chat. That's what they do. They're social butterflies. And then actually, we have cloud everything. I mean, just being the techie that I am, most of our computers have OneDrive backups. Most of the Apple devices have the cloud backup. So a lot of things are syncing and backing up in the background. My wife is an avid user of Google Photos. She probably take 30,000 photos a year. So collecting all of that data and constantly uploading photos and tagging them and interacting and cleaning them up and just all over the place. So, it's we're heavy users of the Wi-Fi and we need it and we need it to work right and consistent. So we have 17, with that many family members or members in the house, we have a bunch of devices connected to Wi-Fi. And I think this is why, initially we started down the Ethernet path, right? We Ethernet router everything, then you get switches, and then you get the number of ports, and you run in blue cables all over the place. But right now it's all Wi-Fi, and that's because, these type of tablets devices, my son, being the gamer he is, he have both the Xbox 360, Xbox One. He has his own YouTube channel, so he's recording a lot. He's gaming online a lot. Of course, we have a share fair of phones. My team definitely, that's all she does. She doesn't have a laptop. She doesn't have a tablet. She does everything via phone. We have a Wi-Fi printer. We try not to print as much, right? We try to be paperless and seamless as much as possible. But just dealing with the kids and the school systems and camps and all this other good stuff, it's inevitable that you have to print stuff. So we have the Wi-Fi printer, and which kind of drives us to be part of the same network, especially if you need to print something like boarding passes, whatever the case may be. Computers, I'm working from home, so I definitely have my computers in the basement. The kids have their computers in the workroom. That's where they actually do a lot of their online reading and studying, online activities like ABC Mouse and Explode the Code and Tinker.org and a lot of the other ones. So computers are definitely heavily used here. Smart TVs are all over the place. If it's not a smart TV, we Roku enable it or we enable it with a Fire Stick or sorts. And that's how, because we're streaming everything nowadays. So everything is smart TV, and this is how, we get everything. You look at the back of the TV, it's an HDMI, and then there's some other type of device to make it Wi-Fi enabled. And then there's the home security. So, here's a snapshot of our security. We actually have cameras within various levels. We have the doorbell camera. You can adjust everything via the home security system as far as the locking the doors and adjusting the temperature, just seeing how late the teens come in and all this other good stuff. So, so Wi-Fi is all over the place and it's a necessity. And we have this three-level home. So we have the basement, we have the main floor, we have the top floor. The basement is finished, so there's a lot of activity down there. We actually have the theater system down there and all this other good stuff. And then the top floor, that's where all the bedrooms are. So my Wi-Fi entry, the main connect, is right there on the main floor in the room on the site. And I think that's probably part of my problem, right? Because most Wi-Fi systems, they talk about, hey, centralize that thing, try to get it somewhere in the middle, and then that way you can broadcast and everyone will be happy. So, we definitely tried that. We're recent cutters. And what that means is that we're doing a lot of live stream, and we have a lot of apps that we stream one from. We ditched DirecTV, we ditched the Time Warner cable, and we're going, strictly YouTube TV. I've been fortunate enough in my market now, YouTube TV is not yet available, but because of my recent travels out west, I was able to grab a subscription and get connected that way. There is also Sling TV. That's just where we try to get some of our local stuff and some of the cooking shows and all this other good stuff that my wife really enjoys. Amazon Video, we get that free because we sign up for Prime, so I might as well take advantage of it. Netflix, avid user of that. Everyone has their own taste. Everyone have their own shows, their own seasons that they tie to. So you multiply that by seven. Even the 4-year-old has his favorites, but he's mostly a YouTube guy. Tableau, this is a really cool device. Recently, just acquired that and rolled that into the fold. Tableau allows you to do an antenna. We went with an external 50 mile antenna. We just mount that right on our dish network. My neighbor did the same thing. So you already have an external mount, especially if you have a dish. We're not using the dish, and it's actually an eyesore, but where it's positioned, it doesn't affect our curve appeal at all. But we mounted the antenna, leveraging a lot of that hardware. It took advantage of the existing coax cable that's running to that dish, and ran the antenna through that. There's a drop in the closet, and from the closet there's a Tableau receiver. And basically, what this is going to do, you connect the coax cable to that. The Tableau receiver accepts that external signal from the antenna. There's an app there, and then the Wi-Fi's enable that app. So now when you go to Roku or the Amazon Fire Stick, there's an app that sits alongside of Netflix, Amazon Video, and the like. You click on Tableau, and then all of a sudden you have access to all of the local stations. So it's really cool because one of the things we did not want to do, like most of my TVs are HDMI only. There's no coax cable connected to majority of the TVs. So, and we already have these, smart TVs or apps available. So we just need our local stations to appear just like that. There's no need to switch from HDMI 1 over to channel 4, channel 5, or channel 12, channel 9, just to watch that station. We're watching that naturally as another app, and everyone's used to it. And that's another thing. When you have this family of 7 with that wide age range from 4 to 18, and then my wife and I, everything has to be super easy. And actually, surprisingly, it's not the young ones that's not getting the tech, it's, it's my wife. So if it's not easy for my wife to handle and interact and stuff like that, it's a no go. So Tableau definitely makes that happen. And then we have the Roku, the Fire Sticks, and all this other good stuff. I'm a one man tech, right? So with all these folks going on and all their devices and all their little separate initiatives, I'm the one that gets called when things do not work. So obviously I wear many hats, and it's just one of those things, right? It keeps, it kind of limits the gray hairs, and as you can see in this photo here, I got all, the gray hairs are definitely there. I definitely have to keep it cut low to keep those hidden and under wraps. But very busy with all the kids' activities. I definitely, my wife and I, we love to travel and take trips and have that alone time because, there's a constant war going on throughout the week, and especially throughout the school year. I'm a consultant. So, there's definitely things that I have to keep up with as far as like the technology and staying up to date with that stuff, making sure the clients are happy, make sure we're delivering what we promise on time and all this other good stuff. I coach Eric, during the school year, my son's basketball team. So, I'm the head coach there. A lot of mentoring. This is not, I wish it was mentoring with, external groups and things along those lines where, I'm actually helping, the kids out and helping them find their ways and showing them different aspects of life. But this type of mentor is mostly for the children. It's mostly, getting them keeping them in high spirits and making sure that they're developing their character and morals and values and all this other good stuff. So that's the type of mentor that I'm referring to. And then, of course, being the dad and you have an 18-year-old daughter, I'm definitely the teen watcher, right? So, just keeping up with her. Making sure socially, she's grounded and doing the right things, and I'm there for her when she needs me, and really just kind of help guide her and stuff like that. Man of God, definitely do a lot with the church. There's a lot of interaction there. Um, with activities and summer activities and summer programs and seminars and stuff like that. I'm also the techie person there at the church. Really trying to get them modernized and up to date and doing a lot of Wi-Fi casting and screen casting in order to manage a lot of PowerPoint presentations and videos and all the other good stuff that they like to incorporate within the service. Travel answer, man. First, second, third level of escalation engineer here at the house. So if the printer's not working, you can't print, you can't get connected, everyone come run into that. So as a one-man tech, this Wi-Fi would, if it works, is a good thing. It makes my job a lot easier because I have a ton of things going on instead of trying to chase down Wi-Fi issues, rebooting, IP config, renew, release, modem and Wi-Fi reboots and waiting 30 seconds and 1 minute and plugging it back in and doing the sequence. And actually, my son, I know that's one of the things that I had to do constantly was the reboot. Right, and I know part of it is one, it's the number of devices, and two, we're trying to do everything with a single router, right, in a three-story home. So obviously, if you go on the edges of the house, you're losing signal and all this other good stuff. But my 9-year-old, my 10-year-old son is an expert with rebooting and recycling the internet. And on top of all of that, I work remote. So, to have this Wi-Fi stable and consistent is critical to my business and my workload and my responsibilities. Connecting with the clients, everyone has their own VPN, a way of connecting. Two form authentication form factor, three form, four form, six form. No, most of it's two. Just exaggerating there a little bit. But, it's one of those things when the VPN gets disconnected, it's a hassle to get reconnected, right? Fair share of uploads, as you guys know, that I'm an avid contributor to YouTube, especially from this technology standpoint within SharePoint and all this other good stuff. So I'm uploading a lot, I'm downloading a lot, I'm researching a lot, I'm learning a lot. So Wi-Fi is critical to the business. Skype calls, some of those are just audio, some of those are video. It just has to be consistent. It has to work all the time. And with the Wi-Fi too, with everything going on, kids are just going to be kids, right? So, there's definitely parental control. My wife is an avid advocator for limiting screen time to 2 hours, but also there's, that's free time, but there's also screen time because they do ABC Mouse and Slow the Code and YouTube Learning and, math and reading and all this other good stuff, on the various devices as well. And then, when school is in session right now at the time of this video, we're actually on summer break. But when school is in session, there's definitely a schedule, right? There's the school, school week schedule, and then of course, we're a little bit more lenient on the weekends and things kind of open up. So, and with all of the parental control, right? And chasing down MAC addresses and trying to identify the various devices on the network and labeling and all this other good stuff. Whatever you do, Deshaun Clark, do not touch mama's Wi-Fi. Right, because when she has her downtime and she's ready to binge watch and enjoy, just kind of exhale and enjoy her alone time, the worst thing I can do is cut off her internet by mistake or her Roku box by mistake because I'm trying to parental control all the other devices. So that's the yin and the yang, and I just need more granular control. This is what I've tried. I went out there, of course, and I probably have a storage room closet full of old routers, switches, and all this other good stuff that I tried to try to make this thing work. And every time something new and hot comes out, I have to try it because the Wi-Fi has never been 100% for us. There's edges of the room where of the house where it just cannot reach, and most of that's because I try to do everything with a single router. So, and because again, the router, the entry point for the Wi-Fi is on the main floor, is on the main room in the main area. So, and I just didn't get it. So I tried to, I have an Ethernet drop in the basement because actually when I'm working from home, that's usually where I escape and try to find a peace and quiet. And when I do that drop in the basement, I fire up another router, and I try to name it the same SID and put it in bridge mode and all this other good stuff. So with the IP ranges, those have to be in the same range. You can't start a new series. That's the bridge mode configuration. And then when you name your Wi-Fi, you just give it the exact same name as the main router that's on the main floor. So that way everything's connected. If you're trying to print something from the basement, even though you're on the extended router, it still will reach the printer, which is on the main router. The problem with this is mostly that setup works, but it becomes an issue with the device. So, say for example, with my phone, my Galaxy S7, I would have it, and I think S7 is probably a little bit better with this. With the S6, I'm in the basement. I'm connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm on the extended route because that's the one that's closest to me. As soon as I travel to the second level, right, of the home, I should disconnect. It should, release the tether from the basement and then connect to the router because that's the one that's closest in range. Most devices do not do that gracefully. Most devices try to hold on to that extended router, and even though it says you're connected to the the Clardo Home, whatever the SID name is, it shows you with very little bars. The performance is slow, and then as soon as you disconnect the Wi-Fi, so you click the Wi-Fi icon, you get disconnected. You click the Wi-Fi icon again to get reconnected. It finds the closest router and it reconnects. I know what's going on. I know how to solve that issue. My 4-year-old doesn't though. So my 4-year-old's in the basement with his tablet. He's connected to the extended router. As soon as he runs upstairs with his tablet, he can't stream this video. He get a lot of buffering and becomes a hot mess. The other issue is that when you have multiple router setups, even in bridge mode with the same SID, you get the issue of, are you going to try to do this with the 5G connection or the 2.4 connection, right? The gigahertz bandwidth. And some of these devices, depending on, the faster, the 5 gig obviously is going to be faster, but it's low range, right? The 2.4 is going to be a little bit slower and it's crowded because everything is 2.4, but it has a more extended range. So you kind of have to play that game. And of course, with my daughter, the socialite, when she's doing video chat and all this other good stuff, she wants to be on the fastest and greatest and all this other good stuff. But then again, her bedroom is on the other end of the house. So it's just one of those things where you try to get it to work, it still doesn't work. And obviously, Ethernet is just out of the question. We cannot Ethernet everything. Like most of my tablets and other devices do not even have an Ethernet port. So you're Wi-Fi only, and you want to have things down. Okay, so now here we go. the main core of this video, after that long 20-minute intro and layout, let's take a closer look at the Google Wi-Fi system. Now, just a little bit quick background with the Wi-Fi system. The Google Home Wi-Fi is a mesh network. And basically, the way it works is that you can buy any number of these pods. I believe you can get up to 14. When you purchase these, you can purchase these as individuals or you can purchase them as a three-pack. Based on our setup with the three-level home, we went with the three-pack. I have one of these connected to the main entry, the main modem, the cable modem that's coming in. And then I have one on the second floor and I have one in the basement. Now, the way you position these pods is important because if they're too far apart, then the system does not work as efficient and effectively as it should. Okay, so let's take a closer look. Now, what I'm going to try to do here, I am streaming or mirroring my Android phone. I have the Galaxy S7 onto my Windows 10 device. And with the Windows 10 Anniversary Edition, if you go to the Start menu, then you type in Connect, what this will do, this will bring up the Connect app and it will enable your laptop or desktop or Windows 10 device to become a media cast receiver, almost like it is a TV in itself, and then you can mirror your device to this Connect app. So that's what I'm using to try to display my phone. And as you can see here, this is my YouTube TV app. This is actually pretty cool. They actually have done a really good job with the UI with this. And we're kind of torn between Sling and this guy here. They're probably around the same price. YouTube TV I think is a little bit more efficient. I think they have the technology right. With Sling, we tend to get a lot of buffering. And I don't think that's the Wi-Fi. I think that's just the app itself and how efficient it does the live stream. But YouTube TV is showing a lot of promise, and I think once their channel selection expand, this will be great option and probably our only go-to. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring up the Google Wi-Fi. In order to configure these routers or the pods, you definitely have to have this Google app, the Google Wi-Fi. I assume there's one for Apple. I'm just not an Apple user. I'm more of an Android Windows type user. So it's a natural fit for me with no issue. On this main screen here, it really just shows like anything that's any key changes that you have. So right now it's showing that my Asus laptop is the priority. In the event that when I start working from home, if I have to do a Skype video call and my son is somewhere in the home trying to do some online gaming, I will make sure that for a Skype video call, I set up my device as the priority so that way any bandwidth demands that I require, I get first dibs, and anything else is kind of split between all the other devices. Now to set that up, it's a radio button, so you can only set one device and one device only as the priority, and then you can also set a time limit that says, hey, I want to set this up as the priority, but only for the next half an hour or so or hour or so. If I click on the globe screen, this really kind of gives me a snapshot of what's going on within my network. If I click on internet, I can double check the speeds. Every time I do a speed test, it captures that and it keeps that in the history. So over time, I can see how we're doing. Again, this is a speed test from the primary pod to my internet service provider, not necessarily any device on the network to the internet. It's the primary pod to the internet. Say, hey, from the internet into your WAN, your wide area, I'm sorry, your LAN, your local area network. This is the speed and the bandwidth that you can expect. Now, here's one of the disappointing pieces that I've come across is that it shows the 87 down and the 10 up, which is extraordinary speeds. But when I do a speed test, as an example, from this laptop, let's just launch open a new version of Chrome, new instance, and then if I do just type in speed test, if I run the speed test, I'm not going to get anywhere near that 87 MIPS that is showing. At most, I tend to teeter around the 10 MIPS, 11 MIPS. And that's pretty consistent across any device. So if I do this from a speed test from my phone or a speed test from any other computer, it's going to be like that 10 MIPS down and actually 10 MIPS up. So the upload speed, I kind of match what's here from a network perspective, but the download speed, I'm nowhere near that. And I think that's just the other, just one other item that I would just probably have it against that, against this Google Mesh networking. Now, if you click on the Wi-Fi is going to show me a snapshot of all the pods. The workroom is where we have the primary pod. That's where our internet modem lives, and we took one of those three Google pods and made one of them the primary by connecting it directly to the modem. Now we do a direct connection to the modem. We do not go through a switch. We do not go through an additional router. Our modem is a, what are we using now? I think we're using like a Netgear modem. I don't have the model number right in front of me, but it's not a router. It only has one single port, and we give that to the primary. From the other two pods, we put one in the basement as it is listed here, and you can see the signal strength for that. And then we put another one in the loft, and you can see the signal strength for that one. And basically, the way these get connected, you just simply position your pod. There are some guidelines as far as how to get the best signal, how far away from the primary pod you should be in order to get the best signal, and then you just simply plug it into the wall outlet. There is no Ethernet cable run. It almost feels like a relay type network to where because if you're doing like access points within an existing traditional Wi-Fi, there's a relay to where you just plug in the access point, get as close to the router as possible. You do your configuration or bridge configuration, whatever the case may be, and it's a repeater. It takes that signal, repeats it, kind of strengthens it, and pushes it out. A mesh network is going to be a little bit different than that because it's going to kind of create like this. I don't know the technical details behind it, but I just know from reading up on it, it creates more of a mesh, whereas your device is kind of looking at the network as a whole. And as you kind of travel between the basement and the second floor, you're just going to get connected to, every time you send a request out or receive a request, the closest pod to you to that particular device, which solves one of the problems that we usually have with the multi-router or the multi-repeater type network, where the device kind of seem to kind of tether to that router that it was initially connected with, and then you had to disconnect the Wi-Fi and reconnect it for it to find the closest device to get connected with. With the mesh networking, you're always roaming, you're always trying to find the closest one, so that does not become an issue. Okay. What else we have? The other one is devices is cool. So as you can see, out of the 32, if I go back to the previous screen, 13 are currently active, right? And this is the issue that we have. And I don't know this for certain, but just looking at the symptoms of it, this networking, the way it routes bandwidth and allocates bandwidth for the various devices that are on, it seems to be extremely smart and handles that gracefully to that. So if you kind of look at the lineup, your cast of characters, there's a Roku device in the living room that seems to be very active. There's a Fire Stick that seems to be active. Oh no, that's not current. So this is what happened yesterday. So if I click on uh, the time frame and make it real time, this is what was happening in the last 5 seconds. And as you can see, there's a lot of things that are idle except for Keelan. He's on the Xbox One, and then it seems like my phone is trying to connect, but I think it may have some issues because I'm doing a mirror cast, and I'm not sure how that's working with the Miracast, if that's affecting the Wi-Fi connection or not. But it seems like everyone else is idle, even though the cast of characters are up and running. This is Saturday morning. Seems like very few people are actually using the internet, which is fine. And then you can see the little star next to the Asus laptop that just highlighting and say, hey, this guy is the priority device. For this as of right now. If you click onto any device and go into details, it shows you where it says status. connected to loft, that's the pod that that guy is connected to, right? Um, which is interesting. Why would my Asus laptop be connected to the loft if I'm in the basement? Anyway, so it shows you the connection, it shows the MAC address, and then it shows the wireless address. The wireless at 24 gigahertz. It seems like is doing that for you dynamically, which is really cool because when you look at your Wi-Fi options, I'm only showing one SID, right? Any other router, I have to show a SID for 2.4 and a separate SID for 5.0. But for which gigahertz range or frequency that you're going to connect to, it seems like the Google Home Wi-Fi is making that choice for me, which is really good. And hopefully, because the difference between 5.0 and 2.4, 5.0 obviously is the higher bandwidth, so it's less crowded. 2.4 it shares the signal with cordless phones and things along those lines and other radio frequencies. So it may be very crowded. The older Wi-Fi connections kind of use 2.4. So anyone in the neighborhood, I mean, it becomes very, very crowded. But 5.0 is going to be less crowded. But then again, 5.0 doesn't have the distance, the same distance quality as 2.4. So even though my device has the capability of connecting to 5.0, depending on how far away I am from the pod, I may actually be better off using the 2.4 bandwidth because of the distance I am away. So it seems like the Google Home Wi-Fi is making that decision for me. Okay, so that's devices. Now, if I click onto this last panel, you get a lot of different options. The one I go into often is the network check. If I do a start test, basically the first thing it's going to do is say, hey, let me confirm your connection speed from your network out to the internet provider, right? This is regardless of the devices. This is going to be the primary pod doing the internet test to see what you have coming in. And then based on what you have coming in, and then what the activity and the concurrent connections you have within the LAN, that bandwidth is going to be divvied up and all this other good stuff. So it does that test. It also does a mesh network test where it tests the connectivity and the signal strength from each pod that's in the mesh network. So that may be another troubleshooting thing. I usually don't have to play around with the test mesh anymore. When I first did the initial connection, just to make sure that my spacing and positioning of the various pods was correct, this was important. But as of right now, that's because they don't move, we're pretty much set. There's no need to tinker with that anymore. With the test device, usually if my son comes up to me, the 4-year-old, say, hey, Dad, the video's not working. Take a look at it. There's a lot of buffering. I may do a speed test from his device just to see how things are going. So that's how you kind of troubleshoot things to see how what the network looks at as a whole and look at the different segments of the network. Priority device, this is where you go in and set, again, this is a radio button because you can only have one priority one device as the top priority at a time. So that's where you go to adjust that. You can see these pause buttons, and basically this is all the parental control. And for Keelan, for example, that's a grouping name. And what I do for Keelan is that I take all of the devices associated to Keelan. He's the only one that uses Xbox One. He has his own tablet. He has his own computer that he uses for YouTube uploads and where he uploads his gaming videos and all this other good stuff. So if I need to shut his world down for whatever reason outside of Mac, my wife, the Xbox 360, which is more of a media center type deal that's used for the family as a whole because that's part of the loft. I can isolate Keelan and say, oh nope, you made some bad decisions. We're going to put you on lockdown for the next couple of days. I can go ahead and pause his device. Now, I accidentally clicked that, so I better go ahead and uncheck it because he may be in the middle of something and he just experienced a blip. Okay, so it's really cool. So I can come in here and I can create as many labels and groupings as I want. I can associate one device under multiple groups, right? So which makes things a little bit tricky, only because you may have one group paused and not knowing that you had a device in that group, but the group that you're expecting that device to be in is unpaused. So it can be a little bit tricky that way. So if you look at this screen here, this shows you all the groups that are currently in a pause or not pause state. And then here you can just go in here and pause them, or you can click into the group and see which devices are associated to that group. So for 360, there's only one. If I go into Keelan, you can see all of his other devices, his Xbox One, his PC, and then his tablet. And then for Mac, we kind of grouped the other three, the 2-year-old, 4-year-old, and 6-year-old on the Mac. And this is showing their various devices. So actually, I need to add more. And that becomes another good question. So adding more becomes an issue of, let me click back here to devices, is really going through and labeling all of these devices. So you can see one that's unnamed. I have no idea which one that is. That may be a friend or maybe someone that came in to visit, and we get them access to the network. But this shows as active, so I don't know. But that's the challenge, right? So initially, when I had to set these up, I had to chase down all these devices, make sure the ones that had, clear names, it was easy to identify those. But there are other ones that just have like, Android device. I have no idea who that is associated with. So I need to go through and play around with that and make sure that the naming for each device is highlighted, the naming for each computer, phone, and all this other good stuff is highlighted. And I can easily identify them, and then that's how I can go ahead and complete my grouping. Now, for scheduling, if you go on the family Wi-Fi and then you click on the schedules, here is where you can set up all of the various schedules. So for Keelan bedtime, I can come in here and say, okay, from 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. every day, that's all week, Sunday through Saturday, sorry, we're shutting Keelan's devices down, okay? Anything outside of that is fair game, but then the 2 hour limit and all the other stuff starts to kick in. And I think that's one other feature that I'm really, really waiting on, to where, especially with Keelan or the youngest one. See, the girls I don't have any issues with. It's the boys that kind of test the limits consistently, right? The girls, they say, hey, after such and such time, that's it. They're pretty much self-managed. But the boys, it seems like it's a daily conversation, which it shouldn't have to be. But one of the things outside of the scheduling I will want is that if I know that my youngest son grabbed his tablet, I want to be able to come in here and set a 2 hour limit. Hey, he's online, give him 2 hours. After 2 hours, shut it down. All right, almost like a meter, right? And that would just help us manage this type of thing. And my wife would really, really love that. Now, this is probably a little too techy for my wife. So she really depends on me to kind of set these things up and set up the schedules and all this other good stuff. So this seems to be working pretty cool and pretty easily for us. To set up a schedule, the first thing you have to do is have a grouping. Once you have the grouping, let's do a new one. I'm gonna just call this demo one, right? And then you go through this guy, hit next, and then this is where the grouping. So it says choose labels, and I didn't go in and create a new group. So let's just pick on Mac for a second, and then here you can do start time. Okay, I don't want this thing to come on until 2 p.m. Right? This could be like a school schedule, and then everything should be off at 8 p.m. Okay, so if you're homesick from school, you definitely should not be connected to the Wi-Fi, because you should be focused on whatever your ailment is. All right, so 2:30 to 8, and we can just do next, and then we can say this is weekday, this is Monday through Friday, or you can do something custom. Possibly you want to do a Monday through Thursday, because usually Friday after school, that's what we call the weekend night, and the weekend hours start to kick in. So instead of that 8 p.m., maybe we'll bump it up to 9:30 or something along those lines. So I can come here and do custom, and then it says I want to do a Monday through Thursday. Oops, let's go back. I thought I was going to select the range, but you actually have to Uh, Demo one, adjust the days, custom, and select Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, now you're good to go. All right. So that's what we want. And then if you want to make this active or inactive, that's where you go ahead and toggle that switch. Weekend nights, I'm sorry, the summer nights, I had to go through it and adjust that a little bit uh, better, only because it's summertime, so we want them to be able to take advantage of the summer, um, and not be as stringent as we would be during a real school night when school is in session. All right, I think that is it for the most part. Again, very, very nifty tool. Let's say if you go into networks, let's say you can have more than one manager. This is simple. So if my wife wanted to download this app, I can come in, add her. All I have to do is put in her email address. She downloads the app. She logs in with her Gmail account. I don't have to create a password for her. Just identify her by her Gmail account, and she's good to go, which makes this thing really, really cool and easy. It's just one less username and password you have to worry about. And what else? Oh, as far as, let me see if I remember correctly, resetting things. Okay, so if you go into Wi-Fi points, you hit the gear icon. This is good. I mean, because, if you I- as far as the versions, I never have to worry about updates again. This thing is set to update automatically. But if there is a concern, or if you're on the phone with support, you have to get the version number of the firmware that you're on. You can read that out. If there was an issue with the network, right, the modem is fine, but for some odd reason the pods are weird or whatever the case may be, I can restart the network by clicking that guy there. And if I wanted to scrap everything and start all over, I can do a hard reset to factory reset and go through the configuration options again. In the event I go out and buy another access point, again, you can get up to 14 for this type of network. I can just, once I bring that guy into the house, plug it in, click add Wi-Fi, it does a discovery to see, hey, there's something changed, there's something new. When you plug that guy in, it should send out a beacon. The network identifies that beacon, brings it into the fold. But the question I have is, where should that fourth one be positioned? Because right now I kind of have like a star network, right? I have the primary right there in the middle. I have the second level one at the top. I have the base one at the bottom. But if I was going to add a fourth one, maybe it would be in the loft, right? To extend out to those two or three rooms that are on the edge of the home. Right now I get 100% bars. Like if I walk around the house now, I get 100% Wi-Fi bars anywhere in the house. I can go to the edge bedroom, I can go to the basement somewhere tucked away in the corner, and everywhere I go, I get 100%, which is awesome, right? If I do a speed test, I'm right at that 9 MIP, 10 MIP mark, right? I don't get the full 87 or 110, whatever my primary says I should be getting. I don't get that. Again, it's never been an issue when we want to stream full HD TVs, especially for the big screen TVs where HD becomes important because of the clarity and the resolution and all this other good stuff. We can do that no problem. I haven't tried streaming 4K yet, unless it was a behind the scenes type deal. I know House of Cards, which is one of my favorite shows. I know some of their later seasons are available in 4K, and Netflix allow that 4K. But we don't have a 4K TV, right? I mean, the highest one we have is a 1080p. So if it's streaming 4K, it may let the 1080p looks a little bit better. Um, but is not, we're not taking full advantage because our display is not that. So I say all that to say it seems to be smart, as in when the demand is needed, it picks it up. But I don't know where that fourth pot would go. Like if that fourth pot would have to be close to another pot in the mesh network, which makes sense, right? Or if the primary node becomes the center point and that should be your point of reference. And I'm hoping that's not the case. So if that's something that you're into and you know the answer to that, it would be very interesting to understand how all that works. But in the end, in short, I'm very happy with it. It gives me the parental controls that are needed, which was my wife's number one concern, because things kind of get, especially when I'm traveling, the kids kind of go to that second gear and start to kind of, especially the boys, break the rules a little bit. So for her to have most of these checks and balances automatic, and if the Wi-Fi off, the Wi-Fi is off. You shouldn't be on it in the first place. That's the reason why off. Versus the Wi-Fi is on. I asked you 3 times to get off of the tablet. Now we need to go to that next level of discipline. All right. So very cool. I think that's it. I think that's everything. Any questions? Leave a comment. If I didn't cover something, leave a comment. I'll try to address it in the comment section. But that's it. That's my take on the Google Wi-Fi and why I need what I need. All right, take care.